Hello, everybody, and welcome back to A Sweet Journey. I am Sonia, also known as Sweets, and I am really excited. I don't know, to talk about this topic of finding God. If you've been watching my videos recently, I've been talking about audacity or being audacious, and my first video was about finding courage, and I used information about like my mom and ways that I felt like she had found courage giving birth to me. The second conversation was around finding my voice, and that was last week. And this week, I want to talk about finding God. And it's funny to me because people will likely say, like, you don't like find God, God finds you. I've heard people say that. And that's not my story. I found God, and I found God in a way, not that he was lost, because God doesn't get lost, but I for sure found him. And so I want to talk about that a little bit today. So I was thinking about something. I remember my goddaughter and I went to a basketball game, and I used to have a huge crush on Dwight Howard, and the United States basketball player. For those of you who don't know, I had a really big crush on him. And my goddaughter and I went to a basketball game, and this basketball game he was supposed to be playing, but when we got there, he was on the bench because he was injured. And he's a defensive player, like he's known for being a really good defensive player. And so we're watching the game. We were having a really good time. And then at some point, we just realized like we were not doing well defensively, and that was problematic. And so I look over on the bench and I'm like, Dwight, they are killing us, dude. And he looks up to me and he goes, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. And the guys in front of me turned around and they were like he just talked to you. Like he saw you. And I was like, of course he did. And I just kept watching the game. And when I think about this, I think very much about my relationship with God. I feel like I've always had this like thing where I felt like he was near, but I was not connected to him at all. And I have these things that have happened throughout my life where I feel like they were encounters. It was it was almost like a setup for me to fall in love with him, and to like be now in my 50s and looking back and like, oh wow, I remember that, and oh, I remember that. And even like last week, I was talking about a situation that had happened in my life, and even in that, like, one of the worst situations that could have ever happened in my life. And if you want to go back and look at that, it's I think it'll be available at the end of the video. But even in that, God has taken that entire situation and turned it around and uses it very frequently as I'm talking to different people. And so all of it. And so I feel like I've always been seen by God, but I didn't necessarily know what it was. So I remember in high school, my journalism teacher, she looked at me one day and she asked me if I was going to go away to college, and it was like my senior year. And I was like, no, I'm probably going to work at like General Motors or something like that. Like, that was what I was accustomed to. And she said, first she told me, you are bigger than everything around you, but you can't see it. If I help you to get in college, will you go? And those words, I feel very strongly like she was literally used by God. There's something about that interaction that felt ordained. And so I ended up saying yes, and she helped me to get into college. And so right after I graduated, I went off to college in Ohio. I'm from Michigan, and I went to Wilberforce University and HBCU College in Ohio. And that experience, I will tell you, I was buck wow. I was buck wild and lost, and really trying to find love. Actually, I just wanted to feel loved. I wanted to feel like a part of something. I wanted to feel like I had purpose. However, I found a group of people who got high like I got high. And, it was just like that was the crowd that I ended up connecting with. But we had a quad, which is 4 beds in one room. It was really, really big room. We had like a living area, like a kitchen area, and the bunk beds were on 2 different sides of the room. And so I had 2 roommates instead of 3. So it should have been 4 people in there, but there was only 3 of us for like maybe 2 or 3 years of the years that I was in college. And one of them was a really good friend of mine who all of the craziness that I did with her. The other one, her name was Ricky, and she was saved. And I'm talking like real life saved. And I remember how she was around us, and it was really cool because she was funny and she was smart and she was like really witty, and we'd come home high and drunk, and she never was like judgmental. She would laugh with us. We would be telling her about our night, and she would sit there and laugh with us. Typically she was studying her Bible, or she was coming back from like an event with the Christian students and stuff. And so she was incredibly instrumental. There was something about how she lived her life that made Christianity look appealing, and it was loving, and it was really nice. And so I remember that, and she would invite us to church events, but we would go, but I did not give my life to Christ at all during that time. As a matter of fact, I went to all the parties. I did all the things. I pledged a sorority. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority, and I did all the things. Very, very focused on me. And I was very, very lost. I remember it was just dark. I drank a lot, I smoked a lot, and by the grace of God, I finished school and I graduated, and then went back to Michigan. And I just remembered like feeling incredibly empty and needed to know like what was it that I was supposed to be doing. One thing that I neglected to say that I think is real, I think it's a part of this, because when I was a little girl, I literally thought I was an angel. I thought I was an angel sent here. I had been hanging out in heaven with God, and he sent me, and I was just waiting for my assignment. I literally thought that for years. And I think where I got it from is like Shirley Temple. I think that there's a show called The Littlest Angel. Someone said that there's a movie called The Littlest Angel with Shirley Temple. Shirley Temple's one of my favorites. I literally have her on my bookshelf. Like, listen, I'm not playing around. Like, yes, I'm an old lady. Anyway, Shirley Temple's one of my favorites. So anyway, and I have another one too. Just listen. All right, whatever. I thought I was an angel for years and years and years, just waiting for my assignment. And that kind of faded at some point as I grew older. And outside of college, again, just really seeking, trying to find what I was supposed to do. Like, what was I supposed to get after? And I had no idea. And I ended up at my sister-in-law's house. My half-brother and my sister-in-law lived in Austin. I was in Austin, Texas at this time. And I was at their house, and I was invited to this gathering my sister-in-law was having, and I was drunk. I think we were having crab legs and maybe margaritas or something like that. And I was laying in the middle of the floor, and I'm drunk, and something happens where I say, At least you all have husbands, you have kids. I just need a good church. Don't know where it came from. Don't know, like, church was not really a big part of my life. I had gone when I was young. My mom would send me with my best friend, but church was not a big part of my life. But that's what I named that I needed. And so one of the young ladies there said, "Hey, there's this church that I went to visit. You should come with me." I was like, "Okay, fine." And so the next morning, met her at the church, sitting there, and the pastor is talking about, I forgot what the name of the sermon was, but he was talking about pity parties. And he said, "Stay away from pity parties. It's when one of your girls is having an issue with her man, so she invites all of her friends over, and you all are sitting around and you're drinking and talking about how men do this and men do that," literally walking through the contents of my night. And I'm looking at this girl like, why would you tell him this? And she's like, "I don't know him," right? And so he's walking through, like, really describing the night that I had just had. And then he says, "And then there you are, laying in the middle of the floor, saying, at least y'all have husbands, you have kids, I don't have anybody." I was incredibly lost. I was looking for love. And Jeremiah 29:11-14 stands out to me always. "For I know the thoughts that I think towards you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. Then you will call upon me and go and pray to me, and I will listen to you. And you will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. I will be found by you, says the Lord, and I will bring you back from your captivity." I spoke earlier about a God who sees, and this speaks about the God who not only sees but knows and has thoughts toward us that are not evil. And I think that's where it starts. And then he just gently says, "Call upon me, go and pray to me." If you don't know how to do that, then that is an area that absolutely is learned. And he said, "If you seek me, you're going to find me. If you search for me with all of your heart." And so all of this these are the steps that you take to find God. And I love that he says, "I'm going to be found by you." My prayer is that if you really want him, that he is going to make himself real to you. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.